can't do these tests like normal, but for this week only, I am going to use this testing the test ride track. I will also test ride the Ruiner on the actual track, but we'll save that for the last one. And same thing with those luxury cars. And the podium, we'll do the podium vehicle here too, but first let's do this one right here. So, we've got the Bravado Vulture. Let's take this thing for a spin, shall we? Okay, I like this way this thing takes corners. Do I like the looks of it? Yes. Does it brake well? Yes. Does it turn well? Absolutely. Yes, it can turn well. Yes, I would absolutely recommend it. It just looks a little bit silly, that's all. But I still would recommend it. Let's move on to the next one, shall we? Okay, so this vehicle here, we've got the Progenitali GTB. It says it's a supercar, which I believe. Anyway, let's test this thing out. Okay, so I base cars on looks alone. So for looks alone, I'd say yes. But this car can't take corners well. I'm sorry to say it, but this car can't take corners very well at all. So would I recommend it? For the fact that it can't take corners, I probably would say no. But for looks alone, I would say yes. This car does look pretty dang nice, and I really like it. But let's move on to the next one, which we're going to do the Ruiner ZZ8. I've got the Ruiner ZZ8. Let's take this thing for a spin. And if I didn't say anything about that previous vehicle, the Itali GTB or whatever it was called, that was a podium vehicle this week. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's test this thing out. Okay, so the Ruiner ZZ8. Do I like this car? Yes, I do like this car. It performs pretty well. It brakes really well. It looks really well. Honestly, it's a car I wouldn't mind buying, but I don't want to spend any more money on this. I gotta spend money on the DLC, not on this. So let's just move straight on to the next one. So this time we've got the Vapid Dominator GTX. Let's test this thing out. Okay, so this car can turn well. The car, I'll be honest, for a muscle car, it does look alright. I don't mind the look of this car. And I usually don't like muscle cars, but yeah, I like this one. Would I recommend it? Yes. Looks fine, yes. Performance, yes. Brakes, yes. It's good. Everything's good about this car. I can't really say anything bad about this car. Well, except for the fact that it's a muscle car, but still. Let's just move on to the next one, which is going to be the GP1. This is the GP1. Let's take this thing for a test drive. Okay, so the GP1 performs pretty well. It's a supercar, if I haven't mentioned already, and it performs pretty well. I do like it. It looks kind of unusual, I'll be honest. I don't really like the look of the car, but it performs well. The brakes are good. Everything about this car is good. It just like, it looks a little weird. But would I recommend it? Yeah, probably. I probably would recommend it still. I mean, I probably wouldn't buy it because it looks weird, but other than that, I'd say go for it. Let's move on to the next one. Broadway is going to be next. Not excited to test drive it, so let's just get it over with. This is called the Broadway. So let's take this thing out for a spin. No, just no. Don't get the Broadway. I forbid you to get the Broadway. Let's move on to the next one, which is going to be the Kulk wagon. I can't pronounce it for the life of me, but it's a new car added into the game. Okay, so this is a new Vapid Q wagon. I don't know why it's called this, but I guess let's test drive this thing out. Okay, so for a car I'm not gonna buy, it performs pretty well. It takes corners pretty well. I do like. Well, actually, I take that back. I don't like the look of this car, so I would not recommend it. Let's just move on to the next one. The next one's going to be test drive here as well. I think the next two are. We're going to test drive the new cars, and then we're going to go back to my test track. 100% honest with you guys. I've only driven this thing just to the airport, and I already really like this car. uh, let's test this thing out. But before we do, this is called the Master Blue Music 2 Key. I can't pronounce it, okay? But let's just test drive this thing and see how it performs. Okay, so turning. I'll be honest. I feel like this car could be better at turning. Well, actually, I think it was just me and how I turned the car, but I still think this car performs well. I like the car. It looks cool too. I really like it. So I guess let's just move on straight to the next one, which is gonna be another test ride at the airport. So yeah, it's another one of those new cars added to the game. I'm actually looking forward to this one too, so let's just test drive it out now. Okay, so this vehicle is called the Vapid Retail. It's an off-road car. That's pretty obvious though, but let's just test drive this thing out. Okay, so I do like this car, and it's a car I might consider buying. So yeah, I'd say get it. It looks good, performs well. It even performs well off road. Maybe even making it the new top dog of the off roaders. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. It's the new Grossiatelli GTO Stinger TT. Now, this car I've upgraded to the max, so your car will not be performing as well as this. This has a retractable spoiler, so it's a feature as well. And this is also a sports car, which I'm surprised about because it looks more like a supercar to me. Anyway, let's move on to the test drive. Okay, so its total hang time was about maybe 7 seconds. That's pretty good. The car looks great, so for that reason alone, I would probably say get it. It doesn't take corners very well, so that's one downside to the car. I feel like the corners could be a bit better. They're not horrible to the point where it's undrivable, but it's not as good as I want it to be, if that makes sense. But still, I like this car for its looks. This car would not be in the 50 car garage if I did not like its looks. So, yeah, I like this car for its looks alone. So, if you guys want to get it, I'd only really recommend getting it if it's for looks alone. I don't think this is going to win any races, unfortunately. So, yeah. But yeah, this car, very nice looking. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this is the Landstalker XL. So let's test this drive out. What? No, I can't recommend the Landstalker XL. Let's just move on to the last vehicle, and we'll be doing this one at the airport because it's a new vehicle. Move on to the last vehicle of the day. This is a new car, which I'm actually surprised about because I thought this car was in the game for such a long time. This is called the D-Class Wolston L35, and it's an off-road car, so let's test this thing out. Okay, so this car, it performs well. I do like the look of the car. It takes quarters amazingly, actually. I really like this car. I might even consider buying it. But, yeah, everything about this car is really good. I can't really say much else about it. But I will tell you this, my favorite vehicle of the day probably was that Jeep looking thing, to be honest. I quite like that Jeep looking thing. Anyway, let's end the video here. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe. See you guys next one. Bye!